we know that the market has been in a very balanced state. Volatility has been contracting. Volatility is cyclical, and volatility contraction usually leads to volatility expansion. So heading into the upcoming week, we are going to be looking for either a breakout beyond that 67 to 70 area or a breakdown below that 53 to 56 area. If we switch over to the daily chart, you can see that the market has been balancing in a very narrow range, and usually this leads to directional movement. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to happen on Monday. We don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but what we do know is that September is usually a higher volatility month, and we are seeing a lot of range contraction here, so we have to be on the lookout for range expansion and either a breakout to the upside or a breakdown below this 54 to 56 area for a move back down towards that 41 to 44 area. So that's something we'll keep an eye on in the S&P and be on the lookout for. If we look at the other markets, here we're looking at the chart of the NASDAQ, and we can see that NQ made a marginal new all-time high over here, at which point sellers stepped in, and now NQ is also range bound, but on the pullback, buyers stepped in. This breakout actually held. So bigger picture, NQ has been showing a little more strength, but on Friday, we saw some more selling come into NASDAQ. So this is the range that we're going to keep an eye on in NQ, roughly 5,900 to about 6,000. This is going to be an important area in NASDAQ. If we start seeing a breakdown below 5,900 in NQ, then that could bring some more selling into the S&P as well. Looking at the Russell actually came down recently into some really big support. You can see that this is the range for the entire year on TF. And recently the Russell came down and tested some larger time frame support, found buyers. We've seen a pretty decent reversal from that point on, and now Russell is also in a very balanced state. So over the past week, we saw this volatility contraction across the major equity indices, and they're all kind of primed now for a directional move. So we're either looking for a breakout or breakdown in the Russell, the NASDAQ, and the S&P. And these other related markets can sometimes provide a heads up. So it is going to be valuable to keep an eye on NASDAQ and the Russell as well and see if there's a breakout or breakdown kicking off in one of those markets. Recently, the NASDAQ has been leading and it's at some short-term support. So I think watching NQ heading into Sunday and Monday is going to be valuable. And the main thing to look for in NQ is whether it's holding above this 5,900 area. If it's holding that zone, then the market can continue to be in a balanced state and buyers can still technically step in for a move back up. But if we start seeing a strong breakdown below 5,900, then we have to be careful on the long side in the S&P and perhaps look for short setups targeting a move down towards the 41 to 44 area in ES and possibly even lower. So even though this past week was quite range bound with limited opportunity, don't allow that to be a reason to get complacent, because usually this volatility contraction does lead to volatility expansion, and there could be much better opportunities in the week ahead. So that is how the markets are set up heading into the upcoming week. I hope you all had a great week in the markets, enjoyed your weekend, and I'll update you all tomorrow morning.